hella rich in
Well,
like 10 years.
I know where you get your good looks from, Assis.
Leon, man.
Dude,
Leon, honestly,
relax, dude.
If Asis's mom is hot, comment. No.
Oh yeah, like, subscribe if you think my mom is hot. Hopefully I said that loud enough so that she can hear and come back and get it. But
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Nine Show.
Where would this take them? Where is this current feeling or value set going to take them in the future?
Like
Yeah.
opposites. Like you're going that way, I'm going this way.
I mean this very literally. There's no emotion in how I did that. For me, it's just pure efficacy of recall.
I doesn't sound like, oh, I have to human. I think that's the NI as opposed to any that just wants to see it in its totality, right?
Common point of what was that word you used, Zodom?
What? What the? Yo, what
Eddie.
the fuck? Okay, go. Let's go.
I will chew you.
all right. Hey guys, welcome back to the Nine Show. The land where we have 2 milliseconds of lag, and so we always interrupt each other. We have ENTP, INTJ, INFJ, and ENFP. And today we'll be talking about Savior TI and Demon TI. Who wants to start?
Ooh.
Nose
What
goes.
is TI?
Start with the OP
What is
definition.
All right, so I lost that nose goes fuck. Okay, so the OP definition, it's very basic. It's basically just what works for me or self reasons, right? Those are basically the same thing, but that's the OP definitions. We have to keep in mind that they're not actually like definitions. They're just frames. They're just frameworks to identify the functions when you're typing. And Dave and Shannon make that very clear. We have to keep this in mind. Their entire focus with OP and everything is for typing. So even if someone has a good idea for like the way that the parts interact and stuff, they won't really care unless it helps them with typing. Or it helps anyone with typing. It has to TE work for typing. So that's like their main, or that's actually really their only priority when it comes to the code. And then of course there's a whole working on your demons aspect. But in terms of making the code work, that's really what they care about.
So if someone theoretically is saying, oh, you know, this works for me all the time, or they're using those phrases in their head, oh yeah, I do this because it works for me, doesn't mean they have TI.
Right, exactly. Right, and we're gonna get into that because their definitions, it aren't definitions, they're frameworks. And so what you have to do, it's so NISE, you have to look at all of these people who have TI. You have to get all that fucking SE, and then that NI expands and becomes more accurate. It's not just it works for me. It's a bit more complex than that, and we're gonna go into those details. So just to expand on the OP definition of it works for me or self-reasons, it's the preference for logical consistency based on the individual's reasoning capacity and ability to see things, or willingness, actually. All right. So then I think, Jonathan, you have a little bit to say about what TI is in general also.
Yeah, so from my perspective, it's more just my observations of what I've seen TI in, you know, examples like you and Manny and other OP members. It's that like TI like to analyze the way they think. So not only do they think about things, they also think about how they're thinking about things. It's like, am I thinking about this thing correctly? Am I taking the correct process to think about this thing and achieve an outcome? So a good way to describe this is a difference between TI and TE. Let's compare them. I'm TE, and my perspective is I want to achieve something or I want to implement something. I don't necessarily care about the process I use to get there. I don't necessarily care about the details. I just know that there is an outcome, and I want to just try to grab an existing structure framework that works and just kind of like, it's like block building, but using existing blocks that kind of exist. Whereas they want to actually follow the details, figure out the details of how they get to the outcome, and make sure that it's actually going to work before they implement it. So it's like TEs are just like, oh yeah, this works. Let's put that there. Cool, that's cool. Let's grab something else. Let's put it on top. Whereas they're trying to figure it all out, making sure that it actually connects properly. There's not going to be any faults in it before they actually put the next piece on. Another great example is a live example of this episode. So we all jumped on this StreamYard stream. We've been prior to actually starting, and the whole time it was Manny and Assis like trying to figure out the details and structure of how we're going to do this episode. Whereas Leon and I have some main points that we wanted to cover. Like we've just got some, some dot points of examples we want to use, and we were pretty much ready to go. But like Assis and Oten were just like, okay, yeah, this is the next step. We're going to talk about TI, but how are we going to talk about TI in this perspective? We've got to make sure that it's like, so they're really trying to like make sure that the information we give is like almost perfected before we just shit on it. Because as TI users, we just shit all over TI. It's like, we don't care about it. We just respect it. So
110%, dude. It's a little annoying.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, thank God we started though.
Right. Hey, dude. I remember last time, didn't we have to like cut, like we had to record the episodes differently because we fucking did it too long and it went too short, and then Odom had to go to sleep. Yeah, we had to do to like on a different day or something.
Oh yeah. I love
Oh man. But there's actually in the first part there was a really interesting point that I'd like to expand on. Unless anyone else, Odom or Leon, you guys have something to say about TI in general.
I could just say something real quick to make it simple. It's like putting your thoughts and ideas and reasons above the feelings and values of others. So it's just
including yourself.
Yeah, like you're obligated to really process that. Well, I mean, process, I'm using that word too loosely, like, as if everyone has save your sleep, but like, you're responsible for your like reasons and like why you do things and how you do things, like Jonna was saying. But I just wanted to simplify it a little bit, because you're going to like be able to eventually gauge like what people like and stuff. But it's like, I know that you like that, but I'm obligated to this,
Yeah, but yeah, the feelings thing, it includes your own feelings. There's times when like I'll be trying to do something for my I've decided it's like good for me, whatever, and I have to do it, even though I don't like it. Like, doesn't matter how I feel about it. It's like the best thing I should be doing. And my girlfriend will think that, oh, like you do that, like you like doing that. I'm like, I don't like doing this. I just have to do it. Like, I would be like, I just can't not do this. Like, I have to. It's so weird. And I know I don't like it.
Stop doing it, man. Just stop doing it and just don't do it that way anymore.
Then I'll feel worse, though. It's kind of like it's the lesser of the two evil. Like, the lesser of the... You just feel worse.
It's the lesser evil.
Because you're like...
At least in the short term.
Yeah. I haven't seen that yet.
Everything reminds me of The Witcher. Moving on.
Great show.
So, Jonna,
on my second watch,
reminded me of something I want to ask you.
Yes.
So when you were talking about how TI thinks about how they think, do you see that in the Sleep Last TIs too?
I think, yeah, it depends. So I don't know a lot of Sleep Last in person, only through interactions like online. Yeah, I don't know what I think about that. I don't know what a TI think about that, because, I mean, I think if someone has a Sleep Last and they're aware of it, I think they will then take the time to do that process. But I think in general, they're probably not doing it as effectively, or they may be skipping over things and making mistakes.
like starting a building project of like building a tower, but then they stop and take a really long break doing all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah, they'd rather do it in a TE way, just like kind of stack things on top without analyzing or processing the details.
Okay.
That's without an example. That's just
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
Right.
Conceptually, yeah.
It's a TE idea. Don't take it seriously.
Yeah, he didn't TI that one very well.
No, dude, it's totally good. All of this stuff is a work in progress anyway. So it's all good. But there was another thing that you said, and it sort of segues very well into Savior TI about you kind of touched on the process versus results. And if I remember this correctly, which I probably don't because I didn't spend any time really in the MBTI world. I kind of found OP really fast after deep diving into the 16 types. I think the sort of process versus results thing is like J versus P, which is kind of, I think they kind of have that right with TI versus TE.
Yeah.
Right.
Like at least
okay.
If I'm on that. But I think that TI is very process oriented because the TI it's so personal. It's like since your identity is being it's formed out of the way that you do things, the way that you make decisions, the process that you go through to think. If that's not congruent, then that means your being isn't congruent. So you have to work on the process. And if the process is good, then the result is good.
The
and
outcome
if the
is
result
good.
isn't good from the process that you built, then you can just change the process. But for TIs, it's like there is very little difference between the way that I do things and who I am, because like that is how I'm forming my identity, in large part. So if the way I'm doing something doesn't work, then I can just change that. But if I don't have that basis to go from, that process to work, then I'm stuck. I'm lost and I can't do it.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Dude, so true. Like I get genuine like stress just thinking like the thing that will be on my mind most of the day is kind of like, what is my way of doing this thing? Like, what is my way of, like, I need some kind of systemic way of doing whatever it is, like whether it's learning, like I need to have some, and it's so like I'm always searching for that in everything I do. It's like, okay, I'm doing this thing, but aside from this thing, what's like the way I do it that will stand throughout, like will continue to help me in the future, like and it has to be something that like, I don't know, it's weird, it always stresses me out. And yeah, I guess that might be NI too, but I don't know.
I have a guy at work really who's very process oriented. He's always hammering about processes. We need a process for this, we need a process for this, we need a process for this. And I think any good business is founded, the foundation of any good business is process. And so we've got an internal document, an internal process management system where it's just basically a web page, processes for everything. And he's always just building processes for outcomes. He's like, guys, we want to achieve this, we need a process for it. Whereas I'm like, let's just do it. Like, just if you want to do something, just do it. Don't stop asking for a process. But it helps me understand. It's like, okay, yeah, you can achieve things in business, but you need the detailed process. You need each step to be accurate. You need each step to be right in order for the outcome to be successful.
Yeah, like every piece, like I have to understand why I'm doing everything. Like every piece has to be there for a reason. Like it's not just there. Like, yeah, there has to be some consideration. And it also TI also kind of feels like also my own personal strategy for doing things. Like whenever I have that method, it's like it's just the way I do things. And it's kind of like it's a part of me that's constantly seeking personal leverage in like everything I do. So it's like I come across something, it's like, how can I use this? Like I watch someone do something and I'm like, oh, I wanna use that and apply it to in something in my life. Like I'm just trying to turn things around me into useful tools. And whether what it does, it completely depends on my own logic of what's useful to me. Like someone who's an athlete who has TI might have his TI shaped based on his experiences as an athlete. So he's trying to make it work within his world. So it ends up being your own logic. Someone who's a corrupt person who's committing, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like it's whatever your logic serves. So
Right.
yeah.
Jonathan, we were calling and you witnessed me saying something, I think to that effect, almost, I think literally, to my mom when we were playing that puzzle game. Do you remember? Because I was getting mad at her for just guessing without having any reason for acting, so that she couldn't. Do you remember that?
Right. Yes. So she was trying to do a puzzle, but just kind of just throwing shit at the wall to see what worked, rather than actually logically thinking it through. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you remember that? Because if you don't, I'll talk about it. But I wanted to get your perspective on our back and forth.
You mean yours and mine?
Sort of what I was saying to my mom and how my mom was reacting to that.
Okay. I don't remember it enough to be able to talk about it.
Okay, that's fine. So I'll just give my perspective then on that. So my mom, she's trying to do this puzzle, and she's Demon TI, and so she's just trying shit, which most people do when they get stuck, and they're trying to find something to, they're just trying to find something to grab onto. So that's like, oh, I found it now. And she's also lead play. And so she's just trying shit, and she doesn't have any reason that she's trying to do this, that she's trying to do anything in this puzzle. And so I'm telling her, it's like, you need to have, even if it's fucking retarded, you need to have some sort of hypothesis.
For real.
Because then you don't have any way to grade your outcome.
Yeah.
You don't have any way to understand it. And now it's just more raw data. Like it's useless to you.
That also makes you realize why that makes me realize why sometimes we can come off as assholes. Like what you said, like it's kind of like I have to have some reason. Like I can be wrong. Like the point is there has to be something to exist for it to be improved.
Because then
so whenever like I get into like conversations with people and like I have my reasons, to them it seems like I think I'm right. It's not that I think I'm right. It's just I'm trying to test it. Like I have to bring it out, and then if I'm wrong, you'll say, "Oh, this is wrong." Then I can change it. But I always have to have an opinion, because how else will it change? Do you know what I mean? Like you don't have anything there. You're just like ready for any. I don't know. You need to have something there to be improved.
Yeah, you can't build a house without the foundation.
Exactly. So yeah, people think it's like you think you're right, but you're just trying to be less wrong, pretty much.
Right.
And it comes off a bit bad, but yeah. Oh, another random thing is about, I don't know how related this is to other TI people, but it was over 2 years ago, and I used to tell people that I can usually remember things based on what I was thinking at the time of the event. And it's like as soon as I remember the thought, from there I can piece together what happened. It's like, if this, then that. And it's weird. Like it's just very random, but that's just how I used to. But that's what I used to say to people. Yeah.
I kind of sort of do that when I rewatch our videos. Like as soon as like if I rewatch this and you were saying that, I'll be like, oh, I was thinking this. And then
that's the other way around. That's you. So you see something and then you remember. I'll like remember the thought. Like I was like, oh, I remember thinking, oh shit, the water's gonna flood the house. Then I'm like, yeah, the bathtub must have been blocked or something. Do you know what I mean? Like I'll piece together the sensory based on the specific thought. Like it's so weird.
Right. It's like that frame. It's also intuitive, but it's like we, because of how personal the ideas was, it's like that was us at that time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's your assessment of you at that time. Yeah, exactly. And you're always tracking yourself because you're a selfish little bastard.
Right. So, and you got any things on Saber TI, or we're gonna move on to Chad Demon?
We can move on.
All right. I think let's have you start with Demon TI then.
All right, for sure. So Demon TI tends to avoid sharing what they really think because they want everyone to feel good, positive feelings, and usually about them. Because if their TI is a demon, then they have FE as a savior. So, yes, fill in the blanks. So, for example, my mother will rarely give her opinion on, or like her opinion to someone without hearing what they have to say first. Because if her opinion doesn't align with their opinion, then she's worried about the issues that it could cause. Like if somebody said, "Do you like Donald Trump?" She might say, "I don't really have a strong opinion about him. What do you think of him?" Or, "I don't follow politics as closely as I should. What about you?" And if that
That's
person,
so smooth.
yeah, and if that person loves Trump, then she might take her side if she actually agrees with them. I don't know her stance, to be honest, but she said, then she might say, "Yeah, I heard someone else say that he's doing really good for the economy." So that way it's not like, she's not really lying, but she also has an opinion that agrees with them. And then if the other person dislikes Trump, then she might say, "Yeah, someone else told me that he sees women as inferior based on his comments towards them." And so she'll find a way to make them feel like they're
Right.
on the same page and feel good about her, basically.
Right.
What type is
And
your
then-
mom, for context?
I'm pretty sure she's FESI, double feminine, and it's like blast, play, and I think she's energy dominant. I think it's sleep and then consume last, but I'm not too sure about that. I want some other opinions on that. But
one thing I think we should know is sort of how, like having the tribes, whether it's thinking or feeling, on the spectrum, and sort of knowing that is not the same thing as double deciding. It can look like that because then it's like, oh, this person likes that, and so I'm going to use that here, and this person like that, like you're appeasing the context, but there's no integration with the self, and that is the big difference between sort of being really good at DE and then double deciding. Because from us, like from the DI double deciding perspective, like if I'm trying to DE, like I will put forth a little bit of my DI and show you like here, like we're on the same page. Whereas DE, it'll just like they'll do that, but they won't they'll be very reluctant to put themselves out.
Yeah, like they won't state it, make it clear.
Right. Or they won't, they'll phrase it like what you were saying as it was someone else, because they don't want, they're trying to not put themselves out. It's safe, or it has to stay safe.
Yeah. It's kind of funny too, because some people at work, whenever somebody's like slamming the weights, we're supposed to like politely tell them to stop slamming the weights. And I'm the only one who ever does it because like it actually really bothers me. And when someone else is like, "Dude, how do you do it?" I'm like, "Well, you can always pull the DE card and say, my manager told me to go tell you," or, "Oh, someone is coming from corporate right now, and if they hear you slamming the weights, they're going to get rid of your membership, and I don't want that to happen to you."
Right. Dude, oh my God. It works harder though, because then they're not mad at you.
Exactly.
DE works sometimes, dude.
I'm out there making friends.
Dude, fuck my
That's a good
manager,
life hack.
dude. Yeah.
It's a great life hack.
Man, Amanda, I love you for watching, man. I'm just kidding.
Shift the blame. Shift the blame. So yeah, more on Demon TI. So kind of along the lines of what Leon was saying, and their own personal DI. With TI specifically, so we talked about how TI is, they take a process, they're constantly analyzing the way and they're after the correct way of thinking about something. I think if TI is low in the stack, or it's classified as a demon, the process won't be as succinct. It won't be as thorough. So they may skip over things in their thinking, and they could also start thinking very incorrectly about things. Now, because it's a DI, it's themselves, it's their own function of identity, that leads them to start criticizing themselves in a way, more just in their head. And the way it is towards people is they make it defensive because they just assume that people are just talking about the way that they think about themselves.
Right.
So an example is, at work, if you're with someone who's got low TI something, or if you want to, if you just jump in and they may automatically assume that, I'm doing something wrong, or I know how to do this, don't try to tell me what to do type thing. And it's just that critical spiral of negative thinking about themselves.
I'm low key kind of like that. Like I just want to do it myself. So it could be Savior TIT.
But I guess the difference would be the emotional state, like I'm stupid, like you think I'm dumb,
right. Even if they're right, they can't trust it. Even if it's masculine, it's like it's so hard to trust it.
Yeah, I think my that happened.
Opinion. It's like, what the hell?
Dude, that happened with me though, like with the the thinking, you think I'm stupid. Like one time my manager was trying to explain something to me, and it was just like a different language, like TE and FE, and basically I told her, like I thought I already, like we were done with that, and I was like, did I do something wrong? And she's like, oh, you want to teach me how to do it? You know how to do this? And I'm like, whoa, I didn't mean nothing like that. I don't know how to do this. I just didn't understand your TI process, basically.
Right.
So I thought we were done. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Communication
so
issues.
For Demon TI, I've actually been going through my favorite game happens to be a puzzle game. Well, Savior NT, wow. I've been going through that with my mom. Making her work on her Demon TI, dude. She's absolutely ecstatic about it. But she's doing her FE preparation right now to get on camera because that's what all the FEs have to do. It's so funny because she thought the first time I told her right before we started recording, she thought I was joking. And so that's why I just left like right now, was to yell at her from upstairs. And like, hey, are you coming? She's like, oh shit, I thought you were joking. She'll be coming on in a little bit to talk about sort of how she's sort of been working on that TI, like what that process looks like for her internally, and then also how me fucking berating her with my masculine TI sort of feels, and how that's sort of helped and not helped. And
yes.
So I think fucking I've abused it. I abused the shit.
Nice.
I feel a little bad. As we're waiting,
you feel bad with your smile on your face, all big. Like, yeah, right.
Dude, you can't call me out on my effing hard. I was supposed to say that. That was the right thing to say, dude. You're not.
Yo, actually, dude, you're right. You did a great job, and I remember.
All right, so yeah. While we're waiting for my mom to come to further expand on Demon TI and sort of that life, really. We got some other things to just talk about. Other thoughts on TI. First thought: masculine TI face. Let's see if I can scroll back enough in the chat and find.
Oh shit!
And you're gonna screen share it? Oh my goodness!
Hold up! Wait! Can I? Oh, it's probably on my. It's on my computer, dude. It's on my computer, dude.
Let's go. Your screensaver.
I didn't delete it yet. Look at the. Okay, so it's gonna be Odom. Because Odom, sexy beast.
Do it for us right now on the TI face.
I remember it.
He's all.
Because I didn't realize you were in.
Hilarious thing when I go like.
Yeah, I remember you did that when I touched your nipple at that restaurant, and you're like laughing really hard, and you're like. Oh, Mama's here.
My mom just said poor lighting. Mama. I'm getting in front of the camera. Look at that.
Yeah, you gotta work on your
SF. Look at that sexy beast.
What are you guys doing? Which platform are you using?
StreamYard.
BeLive can use it.
BeLive. We're not. This is my TI, not yours. Okay. So,
oh shit.
Wait, where am I?
So we want to sort of get your opinion on like how like sort of how like what it's like sort of like how you've gone through The Witness, which is the name of the puzzle game, everyone. Sort of how like sort of what it was like when you were discovering things, like what I was telling you, what that was like, just everything, like what it felt like when I was telling you stuff and you were stuck, what it felt like to finally overcome something when you were stuck, how you were trying to solve puzzles, and then what you learned when you changed that, everything.
How many questions is that?
That's so much.
It's all right. Well, is somebody going to keep asking me questions or just go on a roll?
I'll keep asking you questions.
Assis,
Yeah,
Assis,
that's
you
one
ask
at
the
a
questions.
time.
Okay, so first one, why are we playing The Witness?
Why are we playing?
Why are we playing The Witness?
Oh, okay. So Assis and I, and actually with all my kids, I tried to do mommy Assis time. So that's something that we've had done since, like, I don't know when, for at least decade or more. And I really, really enjoy it. I have 3 kids and the youngest is 9-year gap between Assis and the youngest one. So I do things with all of them, but then I also want to do things with individual, you know? So one of the beautiful things that if you will ask all the kids, which is the favorite child, they all fight with each other. I'm the favorite one. As a mother, watching all of them argue, and it's all fun, you know, they're not fighting or anything, but, you know, they can pick on each other and say, oh, you know, I'm the favorite one. And then the little one say, oh, no, I'm the favorite one. And then the middle one, she'll say, oh, you know, I'm the princess, so I'm the favorite one. So that's a good one. But we started playing Witness because that's something that it's Assis and me time. Because I love watching movies, a lot of them. And one of my big things is to take all the kids out to go out and watch movies. And recently I started noticing a couple of months ago, every time I would say, Assis, let's go watch a movie. And he would say, which movie? And he would say, oh, no, not that one. Oh, no, not that one. So I started realizing that he's getting to a place where he doesn't want to watch the movies with all of us. It's not that he doesn't want to come with us, but it's not engaging or interesting to him. And he will sometimes say, can I watch rated R movie? I'm like, no, with mama.
You're too young, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, yes, of course he is. But that was one activity that we would all do. And we would watch some shows together. He would say, Mama, you need to watch this show. And he offered that you need to play this game. And I said, okay, I'll try it. And for me, the first couple of weeks was to even understand how the Xbox controller works. I was like, this is like not me. Where do I go? How do I do it? So it was nice. How many days we've played? Like
I don't know.
Well, now after playing for a little bit and understanding the game, all I can say today is like, where was this dude 10 years ago?
So talk about some of the things like maybe some of the puzzles, maybe what you learned, how like because all of this thing has sort of been like how to think, like I've jokingly said.
Yes.
But it's like the game really does sort of teach you how to think because it gets you over your own biases. So like what are some of the things that like you sort of discovered about yourself, like in like the way that you think in that process?
Well, one of the things that, you know, like even yesterday he would say, you don't want to think for yourself. You want other people to think for you. And then, I mean, he made, I think I cried afterwards, but it was not crying because he made me cry. It was that tears of joy that how he has that freedom and that personality to care and love for somebody so deeply that he will not be a rescuer for you at all. And I've been a rescuer for my entire life because we as Indian women are trained to be rescuers by default. And he has at this young age, this capacity and this wisdom to be so strong, not because he wants to put you down or anything, because he loves and cares for you so much and he wants you to learn to think for yourself. You know, and he gets mad at like somebody was Meher, like yesterday, actually helped me out. Indirectly. Oh, you're welcome. Well, I'm his mama. He's my son. So he got mad with Meher that why did you give her the answer? She she wasn't giving me the answer, but she did give me the answer because
she was just like being like, oh, try this, try that. It's like, oh my God, no, don't do that.
she was prompting.
Yeah.
She was prompting because I was stuck at that screen for like, I don't know, 30 some minutes. And I was not getting frustrated or anything because I know that he's not going to give me the solution, but I keep asking, give me a hint, give me a hint. What do I do? What do I do? And he will look at me and then he will like ignore. Like, it's not that he's ignoring it, but he's like, what do you want me to do? And then if I'll say, oh, that didn't work, he says, why do you think that didn't work? So this whole concept of, I actually wrote down in front of on the wall, use your brain, think. For me, as a visual reminder, use your brain, think, because there were some comments. Yeah. Exactly. So he made some pointers while I was getting stuck that don't think this way because that's not the right way to think, or there are other ways to think. Don't have this preconceived perception or a notion. So just by having an open mind to understand what is he saying, because whatever he's saying, there's a point in it, there's wisdom in it, there is a solution, or he's empowering me to do it. He's not trying to frustrate me, So I'm very patient, that's for sure.
He's teaching you how to fish rather than doing the fishing for you.
Absolutely, and I do believe in that, Jonathan, because that's probably my default. If somebody's in trouble or somebody wants something, I'll go do it for them. Unless I'm in a total business mindset and I'm trying to teach someone. But that's the nurturing side of me, as a mother. Hey, they'll say, they're sitting on the couch and say, Mama, can I have a glass of water? And instead of me saying, hey, can you get up and get a glass of water for yourself? I'll say, okay, I'll go get a glass of water. That's the default, right? So it's the same with the game. I can't do it. Okay, can you help me do it? He's like, no, you defeat the purpose. You have to learn how to do this. And it's when you unlock something in the game, it's a huge accomplishment. And he will say, it took you that long. Why did it take you that long? And then he'll say, well, you are not learning in the game. So yesterday we argued about what are the rules, and I was like stuck in patterns.
We weren't arguing. Don't
well,
get
okay.
that. That's a loaded word.
Okay, so
Fighting words.
it's not the argument where you're fighting or anything.
We were discussing. We were having.
You were processing it,
debating
together.
It was a debate.
Yeah.
Well,
it was a debate.
Well, I think it was him telling me. Well, because look at it from a different angle. That's what he was trying to tell me.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Yeah, because one of her presuppositions was incorrect, and I was sort of trying to get her to notice to reevaluate those presuppositions, and to sort of think about how she would go about proving or disproving, especially disproving them. So what are some of the things? What are some of the problems that you've run into? Because everybody runs into different problems, and I think that the area that you're on now, by the way, I don't know if I told you this, but you might have a very hard time with that, just because you don't think spatially like that. But it's not like you can't. It's just like that sort of jump to switch is going to be a little harder. But what are some of the problems in your thought process that you've run into with the game, and then what are some of the things that maybe I've said or that you found out that helped you get past that?
Different perspective, and just an opportunity to see things from different angle and to kind of process it through that. Okay, I was thinking it this way, and then how do I solve it with a different angle? Again, I keep getting stuck on a pattern because, let's say if there are 8 panels and I kind of am going through one panel to the other and unlocking it. In my head, I'm like, oh, it's a pattern, it's a sequence. So if I've done it this way, then this will also happen this way. And that's where I get stuck because I'm trying to do it the way I've done the 5 other things the time. The 6th time it's going to change it, or the way I did it wrong. And he keeps telling me, don't guess. You are not allowed to guess. You can't use your intuition. You have to think. So that's like new territory for me because I'm very intuitive. So I'm like, oh, this is how I'm going to figure it out. This is how I'm going to do it. And then I get stuck. And then he's like, well, go back and see what you did. Tell me why you did it. And so it's fun. I like it. I'm enjoying it.
I hate that game. I had
That's
such a
great.
struggle with that game. You're probably doing way better than me.
Yeah.
No, I want to play it.
Yeah.
What's it
I
called?
played it with
Because you
him
can't
and
break
I was
things.
yelling
You
at
can't break
him
things,
like,
Leon.
this is dumb.
I
Make-
love
yeah.
it. I don't think I've yelled at him at all. I love the game.
I love the game.
This
And-
game
What's-
is made
what's-
for your types.
What is
not mine.
what is it called?
The Witness.
The Witness.
The Witness.
Yeah, Jonathan, you
Witness.
play?
Yeah, I played. As he was watching me play and just like giving some
On iPad, right?
bit of commentary
Yeah.
here and there.
Controlling you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great. We should be sponsored by this. Hopefully, going to increase their revenue after this episode.
Yeah.
I love the game. I love spending time with him. Get to learn so much, and then I use that in my own business and on my own, projects and stuff. So he's my
Awesome.
rock and my sounding board.
All right. So let's take a
great.
book out of that one dude's book who I can't. I just say take a book out of a book. Fuck. Take a
Yo,
page
you
out of
brought
that book.
that.
Inception. Inception.
Tom or
dude.
something. What are the three best things about thinking that you've learned from this game, and we'll wrap up with that.
3 best things.
Yeah.
3
Your
truths.
3 truths.
Ooh.
Yeah. Hey.
The first is if I'm stuck somewhere, there's a solution. So whatever I'm thinking is the solution is not the right solution. So there is something else for me to think about. So that's power in itself, because that's like, don't get frustrated just because you couldn't solve it the first time. That means whatever you were thinking is a solution is not the right solution. But there is a right solution. That's why the game is there. And you're supposed to move forward. So that's one truth. The other is it's just different way of thinking, problem solving. I love problem solving. And I think I said, this is going to help me solve a lot of life problems these days. So I'm excited about that piece. So it's real applicable in real life, even though it's a virtual world and you're trying to see it. It's a very different perspective for me. I don't come from a world or an era of video games or playing Xbox or being around in that virtual space. So it's a new thing for me. And I think I'm just getting started. I like it.
You got another like 20 hours.
That's great.
At least.
Yeah, at least. But there is real, lesson there that just because I'm older and I'm the mom and he's younger and he's the son, that I have to be right or I am right and he's wrong. No, there is a wisdom in there in this capacity to play a game with a younger child or your own kids or anybody younger. I think there's a leadership capacity lesson there as well, that you can learn from younger kids who know how to solve the problem, or at least give them the right voice and the freedom to tell you, to teach you, and be open to it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
so
teaching
much
you
for
how
that.
to blast.
great.
Yeah, that was good.
Thank you so much.
I think a
Thank you
lot of
for
people
joining
need
us.
to
That
hear
was
that.
Well, I'm going to wrap it up. I did good.
Yes, you did.
Thanks a lot.
A smiley face.
Yeah, this is
Thanks.
this is my identity right here for
You're
my
outsourcing
TI
your
identity.
Effie, dude.
Huh?
You're outsourcing your Effie with that.
Yeah.
He
Just
keeps
take this.
telling me- he keeps asking me that I should spend some time learning OP. So I don't know if that will happen or not, but good luck to you guys.
It's quite valuable.
Thank you.
We all
Thanks for
value it.
joining
So you
us.
should too. Thanks for joining us. It's really good to see you.
Dude, when you monetize, send a check. Bye.
Bye.
That's so perfect.
We will.
Here's my mom.
You get some royalties.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Thank you.
Dude, she tells me so much, dude. I'm a retirement plan.
Yes, dude.
All right.
I think that, and she's back.
Can I add something?
Okay, she wants to add something.
I'm just gonna say, for about almost a year and a half, year ago or something. Oh, you want me to come forward? Okay. I think about a year ago or something, I was really worried, really, really worried. And he could see it on my face. Like he walked home from school and he saw it on my face and started crying. And then later that evening, he said something that has been with me forever and will stay with me forever. He used to say, he asked me, why are you so worried? What are you thinking? Or what's going on? I said something. I said, I'm not sad or anything. I'm just thinking. He looked at me and says, no, you're not thinking. You're worrying. If you would start thinking, you will not worry. That was like, yes, that was like doing a dad thing. That was like so powerful. And he often says that, he has that inner wisdom in him that, he might say that it stems out of his intelligence and his logical brain, but he has that inner sense that he will say something and you can think about it. And one of the things he used to say, you can't argue with stupidity. Simple, right?
Yeah.
But it is really, really deep if you really understand that concept. So the minute I start worrying or under stress, I started repeating it like a mantra.
Does it work?
Don't
Does it help?
Thinking, don't worry, you stop worrying. So
does it help?
Oh yeah, absolutely does. Absolutely does. So, and of course I have him to bounce ideas and stuff and say, I can't even answer that. I mean, then sometimes he will get frustrated and he'll walk away. He says, I need to go away right now because you're not thinking.
Fair enough. Yeah.
All right. You're welcome.
Did you hear what we were joking about?
No, I didn't.
Maybe that's for the best. And that we'll see you in the next episode, guys. Cheers.
9 gang.
Thanks, guys.
Boom.
Bye.
How do we do it again? Is it like this? Wait, no, like.
Do it, Gagan. Do it.
No, we're not live. No, you do it too.
If I
You do it too.
How do I do?
Like, I think it's like
Sorry.
this. Oh, wait, no, like this. I think it's like this.
Like this?
Put your other.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
Okay, nice girl.
9 gang. Whoop whoop. Okay. So Jonathan, you're gonna, when we're talking about definition of TI, you're gonna talk about process versus results and say analyze the way they think, cautious about how they're thinking about something.
Yeah.
So you're just gonna use that general outline to talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm laughing because I'm just kind of curious. Like the moment you tell Jono like what he has to do, like I was waiting for "Don't Control Me" to come out.
His
like,
face just smiles like,
and possibly he was like, "Yeah."
It's so funny because I wasn't even saying you have to say this. I was just saying, are you saying this?